Okay guys, so I knocked the power steering reservoir off because I'm actually going to put the turbo right here, and I'll show you what we're going to do about remote mounting the power steering reservoir another time. Right now I'm focusing on getting the turbo mounted. So my other manifold was cracked right here in the middle, and I didn't feel like welding it up and hoping it holds, so I bought a 07 and prior exhaust manifold. We're going to cut it right here. I'm going to plug this and then do a 180 pipe coming back up to mount the turbo right here. So let's get started and hope for the best here. Okay guys, so I cut the bottom of the flange off, capped the O2 sensor. One cool feature to look at is inside here it is divided, obviously, because it's, you know, 3 on this side, 3 on this side, but it's got a bridge in here. So I'm going to use that for when I weld steam pipe fittings on here. It'll help hold it together a little better for the weight. I also cut the heat shield studs off because we're not going to run no dang heat shield. So let's get this mounted and we'll start welding on it. I'm going to go drag the welder over here and we'll clean up these beveled ends and we'll start welding her on. I'm going to put you guys in speed laps because this is going to take a lot longer than I thought. So here's the finished product. I want to point out that these elbows and this pipe, this is all from Mainland Valve and Fitting. I think they're like in Mississippi or Louisiana. I've used them for years. This is all Schedule 40, just steel pipe, made in Malaysia. We do these a lot on LS turbo manifolds. I mean, we've had these things glowing red and never have a crack. I'm pretty certain that these are cast steel because it welded really nicely. This flange come from eBay. It's just a 2.5 inch to T4. This is the item number, and right there. I did all this last night, but I let it cool off so we can put it back on now. And then I've got a Turbo Smart ProGate 50. So we're gonna port into this. I'm gonna put this manifold back on, put turbo on, and I'll figure out where I want this gate at. I want to be able to get to the springs easy. If we ever got to change springs or whatever we're doing on the dyno. But I've got to get this V-band connector welded onto this pipe, and I've got this piece of tubing picked up from Austin's place. Oh, it's not exactly the same size, but it'll work. This is venting exhaust. This is the wastegate part number I'm using. It's just a ProGate 50, just because that's what I had on the shelf, and it'll work. I'm going to put you guys back in speed laps, put the manifold on, put turbo on, and then I'll bring you back on speed laps, and we'll position the gate and punch a hole and weld the pipe on. Okay, that was a little difficult. Trying to plan ahead where to put the gate. That way if we ever got to take the springs and replace them, it'd be easy to get to. Another thing was trying to think of where I'm going to route my charge piping, which I can cut this off and just put a hard 90 onto this compressor housing, so that's no big deal. Another thing I had to think ahead of was the power steering reservoir. I know I told you guys that we're going to get rid of that big goofy plastic housing, and I'm going to press in a 3/4 fitting right here and remote mount the reservoir. So I just had to think ahead of where that hose is going to be, because I definitely don't want to take off the power steering pump to change the springs, and I don't really want to have to take off the charge piping to change the springs. So, and I got to think of where the dump pipe's going to go, which I'm thinking there's plenty of room right here and just shoot straight down beside the oil filter. So I can mount it right here and be pretty easy to get to, or I can mount it back there by the frame, but then I want to interfere with downpipe clearances, which is already a pretty tight fit. So I'm thinking right up here where I can just stand up and work on it, and it'll be at the same angle as the hot side is coming into the turbine, which is the more preferred way to mount a wastegate. That way the exhaust gas is just going to V, like here's a turbo, it'll just V right out to the wastegate. That's how you really want them. But down there to be kind of like a T, so the exhaust gas will be doing its normal route, but then the gauge will just be like a T. Not really preferred. So I'm thinking I'm going to put it right up here, and I'll just, like I said, dump the dump pipe down there by the oil filter, or the screamer pipe, because we're not going to put it back in the down pipe. So the down pipe will be muffled and quiet. When the wastegate pipe opens, it's going to scream. So, all right, I'm going to take this exhaust turbo back off, the exhaust manifold back off, punch the hole, and then I'll bring it back over here, mount it all back together, and we'll test fit where the wastegate is going to be welded on. Alright, so blasted a hole in it with a plasma cutter. Used the die grinder to clean it up a little bit. Now let's test fit and see how far off I am. Man, what a mother. What a mother, man. That thing's heavy. Alright, we'll go back into speed laps here. Here it is. We've got, well, once I put the third bolt back in. So, that's the clearance it's going to have. What it'll look like. Super easy to get to right here. Turn that welder off. Very easy to get to. Screamer pipe will just run straight down in front of the motor mount there. Down pipe will come off, squeeze down through there. I'll move that heater line right there. Actually starting to look like something.